Welcome to How Now, the podcast where we talk about how to live in the now. And here's your host, Kim Martin Raymond.
Peace and blessings, and welcome to this edition of the How Now podcast, where we talk about how to live in the now. I am your host, Kim Martin Raymond. I'm a minister, spiritual life coach. I am a health and nutrition awareness coach, author, and founder of Redefining You, LLC, where I help my clients to realign themselves, mind, body, and spirit. And welcome to this evening's show. We are in the first quarter of season 3 of the How Now podcast. So if you are new to the show, welcome to the show. Make sure you go to the How Now website at www.hownowpodcast.com and make sure to find your favorite podcast platform and like, follow, share, and subscribe. You can also scroll to the bottom of the page where you'll see this week's banner for this week's show. And if you click on that, it will take you to the How Now YouTube channel where you can like, follow, share, and subscribe as well. So you'll always know what's happening in the now. So remember, go to www.hownowpodcast.com and sign on today. So tonight we're going to be talking about paths to success. We know that, things are changing. People have had to make pivots, and success looks different to different people. So to help me go through the weeds a little bit about the path to success and helping us to create a blueprint is my lovely, lovely guest. And as is customary with the How Now podcast, I'm going to have her introduce herself at this time.
Hi, Kim. Wonderful. Good evening. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be on your show tonight. Yeah. And I am Miriam Villegas. I am a success and mindset coach, and I help female entrepreneurs to multiply their income by applying powerful mindset techniques. Wow. I was mentored and trained by Bob Proctor. Some know Bob Proctor. He is one of the greatest teachers when it comes to human potential and growth. And I have learned everything from him. He's just amazing.
Awesome.
And now I have the pleasure to show this to other women.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm so glad that you are here. Again, welcome to the show. And so again, like I said, we're going to talk about paths to success. But before we get there, let's talk a little bit about what was going on with you prior to the pandemic. Were you coaching at that time, or was this something that came about as a result of the pandemic?
I was not coaching before the pandemic. I was in a regular court job, but what I did is since 2016, I am following Bob Proctor's teachings. So I have been in the flow, in the right energy all the time. And then when the pandemic hit, I was just still 6 weeks, I believe, employed. And then they started lay off people. And I was one of them because it went by hiring date and I just switched companies. So I was one of the first ones they had to leave, right?
Wow.
And well, it was okay because I was home with my 2-year-old back then. And we had a lot of complications. I come to this later on, right? So it was not too bad. And because of the mindset work that I did prior to the pandemic, I knew how this works. And then I said to my husband, no, nobody's going to lay me off. I decide whenever I leave this company and I'm going to get my job back.
Oh, wow.
So I started with my mindset techniques and it took exactly 6 weeks. And then I got a phone call from them that they wanted me to come back.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow.
So yeah, this was basically my experience pandemic. And what I want you to see there, right? So no matter what is really going on outside in your world, you can always create your own world.
Yes. Or create new opportunities. Yeah.
Exactly. Right now, everybody is talking about a recession, right? So when people talk to me about a recession, I'm like, well, first of all, I don't even watch the news because I don't want to know what's going on in the world. Usually they only report about really bad things, and I don't really like to hear bad things.
Right.
So I said, this is okay with me if there's a recession going on, might be, but if I don't hear it, I don't internalize it. So it doesn't mean that the recession will go away, but it will go away for me. You know?
Yeah. Because it's powerful when we think about our mindset and the things that that we take in, we take in a lot of information through our ear gates and our eye gates, is what I call them. And so, when that information comes in, just like you said, what we do with it, how we process it, really does determine our emotional state. And as you said, I think about the news. I'm not a big fan of watching news. I may hear little tidbits here just so that, I can say socially astute. You kind of want to know some things that are going on. But yeah, you listen to the first 5 minutes and you're in the depression. And, the first you're hearing about death and you're hearing about war, you're hearing about,
Exactly.
politics and things like that. So I definitely get what you're saying when you talk about that mindset and how important it is how we process the information that we receive. And so, I think that is great that you were talking about, once that pandemic hit, you were just saying, no, this is not going to be my existence. I'm going to create, what that's going to look like. And I think a lot of people, especially in 2023, we heard at the very beginning of the year that this is a year of manifestation and manifesting those things and seeing them come into fruition. And a lot of it has to come along with mindset. So I think that it's great that you were able to use those techniques and that they worked in your favor. So
they always do.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm manifesting since 2016. And I have manifested so many things in my life, and there is really nothing that you cannot manifest. There's no limit. The limit is just where you set the limit for yourself, right? Because you have to, or you can, let me word it this way, you only attract who you are, what you are, right? So if you do not believe in whatever is going on around you, it just does not exist. So you cannot attract a recession if it doesn't exist inside of you. You cannot attract bad things if it doesn't exist inside of you. Right? So the moment I was let go, yes, I was devastated because I'm still human. I still have feelings. I was shocked. I didn't think that this was happening to me. But once I gathered all my thoughts and I'm like, no. I'm doing this way too long. I know how this works.
Right.
I decide whenever I got let go. And right now I'm not there yet. And I'm going back to this company. They're going to call me and I can come back and I can get my job back. And this is how it happened. It took me 6 weeks.
Wow. So were there certain pivots that you had to make in that time frame to prepare for that?
Not to prepare, but what I did is I realized that corp is just an environment where you are dependent on other people. You are depending on the economy, right? Decisions that companies make depending on what the news are telling you, what the economy drives. And then I was like, I don't want that. I really don't want to be depending on someone. And then within hours, within days, I can be without a job. So what can I do? And I was always into coaching and I loved it. And once I realized that this information that I have, the techniques that I learned can create anything that you want, I said, I want to teach this. And I had the thought for such a long time, but I was kind of in a position with my little one, which was, like I said, we had complications. She was born with only 5 months and 3 weeks. We spent 6 months in the NICU. And then, we had a feeding tube because of the complications we had. So back then, when the pandemic hit, I was not in the position to focus completely on a business, on a coaching business, or basically start a business from scratch, because you need to invest hours, right? But I realized back then, okay, so this is what I want to do. I want to do coaching. I want to show other women what they can do, the potential that we really have within us, and nobody knows about it because they just simply do not teach us in school about that, even though they should.
Right.
And then once we went out of the pandemic and everything calmed down, this is when I started my business, because I don't want this to happen to me anymore. That it's out of my control. I like to be in control.
That's it. And it's not being a control freak. It's just being, in a position where, like you said, you want to be able to navigate and do things in your timing, and that's it. And that's important. Like you said, when you have a corporate position, yeah, a lot of your livelihood relies on someone else.
Yes.
You know, and when you don't have control over that, yes, it's a scary feeling. You have a lot of people who are scared. You have a lot of people you're hearing about lately who they say are quiet quitting, where they've just, you know, they're just going in to receive the check, but they just don't have their heart or mind in that position anymore, you know, and have just pretty much given up. And but they're not seeking to do something about it. They're just sitting there. And so, you know, it's a challenge to really, you know, gather your mindset, or get in that space where you say, okay, this is enough. I need to be doing something different. I need to be doing something for me. So I think it's wonderful that, you know, you saw the potential in yourself and said, hey, you know what, I want to share this with others. I don't want to keep this to myself. And so that's amazing, you know, that you came to that conclusion. So, you know, now that you've gotten into the coaching, you said that your clients are typically female entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And so talk a little bit about what you do with them, or how they come to approach you.
Yeah. Usually I help female entrepreneurs that already have a business established, and they have a certain income level and hit an income ceiling.
Gotcha.
So now they have been doing good for maybe a year, maybe two, maybe longer than that. And now they hit a limit. And they don't know why, because they have all the strategies in place, they have all the systems in place. So everything is working. But why can I not make more money? Why can I not attract more clients?
Yeah.
You know? And then they start talking to me, and I'm like, well, and I dig deep, you know, I ask them several questions.
Yes.
And what is very interesting is that those women are all very passionate. However, they need to make a mindset shift. You know, because you can only attract who you are and what you are. And I work with them, first of all, on the goal, the number they want to make, the clients they want to attract. And the next step is I work with them on the self-image. What they see is, a lot of times they see the number. It would be nice to make $1 million. I have one client, she wants to go to $2.5 million.
Okay.
So we're on the way there. And the issue, I don't want to say problem, because it's not a problem. The issue is that we have to tweak that self-image. So now imagine there's a woman who made always $100,000.
Right.
Every single time, $100,000, year by year by year by year. Now 5 years in a row, and she cannot go higher. Why can she not go higher? Because we have something, it's called an inner programming. We also call it paradigm for the people that follow Bob Proctor. And our programming is just a mix between our genetical program and our environment. You are mainly programmed by your environment. So take a look at the people that you hang out with the most. The 5 people. Where are they? And you will see that they are usually in the same income level. And the programming that you have is basically like a thermostat, you can say, right? So if you set your room to 70 degrees and you leave the door open, and a cold wind comes in, and the room cools down to, let's say, 60 degrees. If you leave the door open, it's still like the heater kicks in and will heat it up to 70 degrees again, because your thermostat is set there. So the same happens to us. If your programming is set to $100,000, then you will always be around those $100,000.
Yeah.
Because this is what you have accomplished. You know, this is what I can achieve. So no matter what system that you use, you will always hit 100. It might go to 105, or it might go to 95, but it will always be around this, right? But going from 100,000 to, let's say, 500,000 or $1 million, this is completely out of range, because it's not logic to us.
Right.
So what I do with those women is I help them create a new self-image which matches this amount of money. And this new self-image will give them a new vibration, which is a vibrational match for the money they want to attract. And then they're going to attract it, you know? And when I say vibration, you know that we have energy flowing to us and through us all the time. And this energy just is, you know, whatever flows inside of you just is. It's not negative and it's not positive. But what really changes the energy is your thoughts.
Right.
So depending on what you think, you know, you turn it into something negative or positive. So if you're thinking, okay, I can make $100,000, those are the thoughts that you have. This is the energy you give out for $100,000, and this is what you will get back, 100,000. And this is just how it is. So what we need to do is we need to raise your level of awareness. We need to raise your self-image to $1 million so that you feel, act, speak, walk, and think like a person that makes that $1 million.
Yes.
And once you are there, your vibration raises.
Yeah.
I always say the $1 million chain dough, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you need to become the $1 million chain dough first to send out the frequency or the signals of a $1 million chain dough so that you can attract everything that $1 million chain dough has, and she has $1 million.
Right. That makes sense. That makes sense.
It's very easy. You have to align everything, you know?
Yeah. So I think, you know, just like you said, there are definitely steps to get you there. I like that you say, you know, you talk about the whole aspect of, you know, us being comfortable, because I think that's what happens. We get into a space, even in you know, corporate positions, you get into a space where you're getting used to making that certain amount of money, or you use it and you get comfortable there. Mm-hmm. And so just like you said, you know, it almost becomes like maintenance. You know, it's like, okay, I'm just going to be good with maintaining this. But then you always are thinking in the back of your mind, yeah, I want to do better, but you're not really taking those steps to do that. So I definitely love that you said that. It is in the programming and that whole paradigm shift that has to take place. So I get that. And I love that you also talk about the fact that, you know, you become a product of the company that you keep, you know, and I think we've all heard at one point in our lives, you know, don't always be the smartest person in the room. You know, because then, you know, you need to check the people who you're around. If you're constantly around people who are struggling and do things, you know, they become like crabs in the barrel. They start pulling you down, start pulling you, you know, outside of that space that you want to get into. So I definitely, you know, I'm with you on making sure that you're, you know, examining the people that are around you, and are they, you know, your peers economically, if that's what you're looking to do to raise the vibrations there, or do you need to start, you know, traveling in different circles, you know, because I believe that in different circles, you create opportunities to meet people who are in that higher echelon, if that's what you're looking for. So, yeah, you know, you can't expect to find those people in the existing environments that you're in. So, you know, that idea of, like you said, goals and creating goals and self-image. So, you know, those things are important.
Yeah. And those people will lift you up, you know. So once you are really in that growth mode, you need to stretch. And then I just had this conversation this week. I had one of my clients and she said, well, when I make a certain amount of money, I want to buy a new house. And then she said, but with the new house, I probably will have to move to a different neighborhood. And this is so sad because I will have to give up all my friends. And then I said, well, let's take a closer look to this. You say you have to give up your friends when you make the X amount of money. Do you really think that your friends still want to be befriended with you once you make that X amount of money? Or do you think you will have some haters? And she said, oh, this is interesting. She said, well, I know at least of 2 or 3, they would not be happy for me. And I say, okay, here we go. So now if you would make that certain amount of money and you would just build in your neighborhood, would this be something that you would want to? And she said, I don't think so. And I said, see, I said, look, The friends, they support you. They will visit you in the new neighborhood.
That's
They
right.
will stay with you.
That's
They want to
right.
grow with you. I said the friends that don't want to grow, those will be probably the ones that won't be so happy for you that you will make a certain amount of money.
Right.
And a new neighborhood where you're going to move to is the neighborhood where probably everybody else is making around the same amount of money that you're going to make. And she said, oh, I didn't even think about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, look, you want yourself surrounded with people that are there where you want to go, because you want to be inspired all the time.
Yeah.
You don't want to surround yourself with people that are totally comfortable with the life they're living if you are in growth mode, because those people will hold you back.
That's
so
right.
if I want to grow, I need to surround myself with people that already have done what I want to do for different reasons. First of all, they raise my level of vibration. They support me in what I do, and they can give me tips on how to do it.
Right. Right.
You know,
I think that that's awesome. That's amazing. And as you were talking about that, it just made me think. It made me think of, like, I don't know why it made me think of a snake with regard to like shedding skin and, just coming out of that and leaving behind that thing. And what comes out of it is something new, or, so it's that having to go through that shedding period of certain people are going to get left behind, and then you're going to have that season where, where people are going to embrace that new aspect of who you are. So you're absolutely right in that too, that, people are going to come and go, but that's part of growing pains. And that's why they call it growing pains, because there are some pains that come along with it. There's some discomfort that comes along with shedding those things that you need to leave behind, so that the growth can happen.
Exactly. And shedding, I like that word, shedding, like a snake, because here's the thing. Your new idea that you hold, right? Let's say you have a new idea of that $1 million where you want to go. The new idea has to come with a new identity. And that new identity, how do you have your hair? You will have your hair differently. You will have your makeup differently. You will dress differently. You will go to different restaurants. You will drive a different car. You will be way more comfortable, way more confident. You know what I mean? So shedding the skin is exactly what you have to do. You have to shed your skin, shed the clothes, shed everything that comes with the, let's say, $50,000 person. Put on the skin of the $1 million person, because only then you can become it.
Yeah. But I think it's also interesting, when I think about that as well, is that, even in shedding and doing something new, it doesn't mean that you're losing your identity. It doesn't mean that you're losing the person that you are. You're still the person, but there are new things, just like new styles come along with different decades and things like that. There are things that are going to change, and certain things, yes, certain, aspects of your personality will change, but it's not like we're saying you're changing, you're going to be a totally new person. For some people, there may be a little bit of an overhaul, and for others, it'll just be, how, what do we hear people saying now, that, becoming the best version of yourself? You're still yourself, but just a better version, so
it's your higher self. Yes, you are becoming a higher version of you, your higher self, a purer you, right? So there's actually a funny example. When I look back 10 years or so, and I wanted a new purse. And I had friends that had designer purses, and I was like, why would I spend $500 or $2,000 for a purse? This is crazy. It's just a purse,
Right.
Why would I spend that money? Do you know what? Within those 10 years, I have changed so much that now I walk into Gucci like I go to the grocery store. I don't really care, because it's just a number that we make up. I mean, think about it. A lot of people, they dream about making 6 figures. Is 6 figures really such a big number? I don't think so.
have some people who spend it
Not
quickly. How do you
anymore.
hear about people who hit lottery and who hit the lotto and then they're broke within a couple of years? And you're saying, what'd you do with all that money? Because you thought you knew what to do. You got to kind of know what to do with it too.
Yes, and you need to look, if you win the lottery, then you get rich like within seconds, right? And within seconds, you cannot raise your self-image. So all the friends that you have will still be the same. And then you probably might give some money to some of your friends because you
Right.
want to be
Help
nice
them.
to
Right.
them,
Right.
you know, or you give it to your family, whatever, instead of thinking, okay, how can I invest to make more money? Because they're thinking of investing is probably the thinking of a higher version of you. And you don't
Right.
even have time to move into or to shift into that new mindset if you get
Right.
the million within like seconds.
Right.
The lottery. I mean, you can do it. I have done it. I have manifested extra cash within days, and I didn't even realize it. You know, I do my affirmations, I do my journaling in my morning and night routine because I have my goals, right? And then I was writing down that I wanted a certain number. I was writing it down for several months and didn't even think about it anymore. And then I went out for dinner with one of my friends. She's also a coach, and we were celebrating. And then we went to a high-end restaurant here in Austin. And she said, let me help you with the check. And I said, no, it's fine. I said, totally fine. I got it. I said, because whatever we spend here, this money will come back to me way multiplied, right? So I pay a $300 bill. It was a really nice dinner. And while I was giving my credit card to them, I was thinking, I'm so grateful for you, money, that you have given me this beautiful dinner. I'm so grateful for you because I know that you will come back to me in multiplied quantity, you know, very grateful. And then 2.5 days later, I got a phone call that my parents had sold some sort of land and they're going to send me some cash. And it was way more. And it was exactly the amount of money that I wanted, that I had written down for months. And then I'm like, this is crazy. I just did this in like 2.5 days. I paid. I said, okay, I know it's coming back. And boom, there was the cash, you know? And this is what you have to practice. You really have to practice gratitude, because a lot of us, we don't even realize anymore what a luxury life that we're actually living.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You know, I think, you know, what it makes me think of is, okay, we were talking about the topic of success and the path to success. So what is success?
Success is the progressive realization of a worthy goal. Okay. So success does not mean that it is attached to a certain number. It is attached to something specific. Success means nothing else but you moving constantly forward towards your goal. It's the progressive realization of a worthy goal. So it means they don't want you to be stagnant at some point. They don't want you to go flat, you know, always progressing, always evolving. As long as you're doing this, as long as you're doing your daily action steps that move you closer to your goal, you are progressing. Yes. And the funny thing is, and it happens to me too, even so I'm a coach and I teach this all the time, right? We think sometimes that nothing is happening. Right. I just had this happen at the beginning of the year, and I was sitting here, I'm like, man, and nothing really happens, and I'm not moving forward, right? So I took my journal where I put down all my goals, where I put down all my feelings, all my emotions, and I mean, I speak to money, I speak to the universe, you know, like it would be a person. And then I took out my journal and I put down what I had written down 6 months ago as goals. And then I realized, oh my goodness, all my goals have already been realized. They're already in reality. So why am I always thinking that nothing's happening if I'm moving towards the big goal that I really want, you know? And there's something that's called the invisible progress. It's how I call it. I don't know if others call it like this too. And the invisible progress for me are small steps, and you think in your mind that nothing is happening.
Yeah.
And when you go back, you're realizing, oh my goodness, but it has happened already. So you come aware, you're doing nothing else but raising your awareness. And this is what I teach my clients all the time, because they tell me, they're in coaching with me for 6 months. And then they said, I'm not sure if I'm making progress. And then I said, go back and write down and look what you had written down the first day that you started with me.
Right.
And then like, oh my goodness, but this already happened. I said, see, you don't even realize it.
Right. And that's good to know, because, some people, everybody is not a writer. Everybody doesn't like to journal. There's some people like, I don't want to do it. But, there are so many people, because we have technology, you can take pictures of some of your successes and things that you're doing. And then, I think about Google. You know how every now and then, if you've got Google and you're taking pictures, you know how it sends you little memories and say, you can go back. And even if you don't write it down, or you're not as much of a writer, even though we encourage people to journal writing and write down your feelings and things like that. But if it has to be a life in pictures, that's something to do. They said pictures worth 1,000 words. So sometimes, taking that picture and then having that memory pop back up, and you're like, oh my goodness, for a person like myself who's had dramatic weight loss, every couple of days I'll have some pictures come up and they'll go, remember 5 years ago or 2 years ago, a year ago, and I can look at the pictures and go, oh my goodness. So I can sit here today and say, oh, I don't feel like I've lost any more weight. I feel like I'm plateauing. And then I go back and a picture pops up and I'm like, oh my goodness, look at how different I look, or look at, the progress that I make. So it's definitely sometimes taking that step back. We talk about living in the present, and yes, we want to do that. But what propels us sometimes to move forward is being able to look back and see some of the things that were going on then, and how we have made, like you said, that invisible progress.
Yeah.
So it is important to do that.
Yeah. And when I have those things happening, like when my clients tell me nothing is happening and why hasn't it happened yet, I always explain it with a flower. So imagine you're planting roses. And when you plant the roses, what do? You open the dirt, you put in the little seed, and then you close it with the dirt, and then you wait. And then it takes, I don't know how long it takes, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, until you see a little teeny tiny thing pop out the dirt. But it's still not a rose. It's just a little teeny tiny thing. And then it takes several weeks later that you have something and the rose is like this, but it's still not blooming.
Right.
And several weeks later, or let's say a week later, it's finally blooming. But how long does the whole process actually take time?
Yeah.
How long? Maybe a month?
Right.
2 months? I don't know. And this is what I tell them. I said, nobody would go ahead when you plant a seed of a rose and nothing happens overnight, that you go ahead and you dig up the dirt and go, where's this rose?
Right.
The rose must be there. What's happening?
Right.
You don't do that, because this is the progress, right? So why is it so hard for us to believe in something that we cannot see? Because we are humans, and it's always easier for us to believe in something that we can acknowledge with our senses. So we can either see, hear, taste, or touch, or smell,
Right.
And believing in something unseen, it's so hard for us.
It is.
Even so, it's here. And this is how the universal laws of nature work. They are here, even so we cannot see them.
Right.
Think of a little whistle for dogs, right? It's whistling because everybody tells you it's whistling and your dog is coming, but do you actually hear it?
Right.
You don't.
Right.
That a leaf, for example, has, I don't know if in English, if you call it veins or something. You call it veins? Okay.
Yes.
So that the leaf has veins, even so you cannot see it, and you have to use a microscope. Only with the microscope you can see it, right? And the whole structure of the leaf. So why is it so hard for us to believe in something that we cannot see? What is the natural laws of the universe, which we know exist?
Yeah. And I think that's
When you take a pen and you let it go, the pen falls
Right.
down. It's gravity. Everybody knows gravity exists,
Right.
but you still can't see it, you know?
You're right.
But when I talk about the law of vibration and the law of attraction, sometimes I get, not working. I'm like, why? Why do you think that?
Right.
You know?
Right.
It's working for me,
That's
and it's
it.
working for all my clients that believe in it.
That's it. But I think that's the key word, belief. You know, you have to
Yes.
believe. You have to believe that it is so, and those things that you can't see. And I think because we are in such a microwave society where everything has to happen instantly, happen now, that we've lost that patience that we used to have. I think about, my childhood, and we didn't have access to phones to call people instantly. People had to wait until you got home, check the answering machine, and make sure that that to find out who called you. It wasn't like you can call. We have become so accessible in an instant. You can call somebody, you can pick up the phone and call somebody, and they answer the phone right then and there. We have lost our ability to wait.
Yeah.
And so now we're hearing, nowadays people are saying, well, trust the process, and it's going to take time. And people are like, well, I don't want to wait. That's the thing. So it makes it, yeah, we have lost that art of being patient and watching things. But just like you were saying with the rose, but we sit there, and the people who garden and people who plant and people who are growing vegetables, they know that takes time. You're not going to plant the seed today and there's going to be a tomato plant tomorrow. But you get excited when you see that little plant, like you said, poking through the soil. If you don't see it, the one that you don't just sit there, you'll screw it back up and throw it away and say, oh, it's not working. We know to trust that process. And we have to do that same thing. We have to look at ourselves, I think, sometimes as plants as well, and say, okay, what do we need to do? And what do we need to do to change the environment around us so that we thrive as we,
So what I always say is that your subconscious mind, you have to see it like your garden. Your results are a direct result of your subconscious mind, of your belief that you hold in your subconscious mind. So see as it like your garden. And what you want to do is you want to plant your goal. You want to plant that seed in your subconscious mind. And then you have to nurture it every day, every single day, the same way that you give water to your roses, even so you don't see it. But you have planted the seed, so you know the seed is there. And the moment that you decide, I want to make $1 million, even so you have it not yet in your physical world, this is the seed that you plant in your subconscious mind. And then you have to nurture it. So how do I do this? I am grateful for the money. I am grateful for everything I have, because we do live in abundance already, and people don't even realize it. In January, I believe, or was it February, did we had in Texas that big ice storm? Which shut down the whole city of Austin. And we lost power. So our power, how do you say that? Drives everything. Everything functions with power. We didn't have a heating. I couldn't cook. I didn't have Wi-Fi, so I couldn't even work, so nothing. My whole world basically shut down because everything was depending on power. I couldn't take a hot shower. We had ice cold water,
Oh my goodness.
So what did we do? We went to the hotel, and the whole family, 2 dogs, a fish. The fish was in the Tupperware. It was really funny. And then we were sitting in our hotel room, and I said to my husband, and my daughter was listening, she's 4.5. And I said, it is not bad that something like this happens every now and then. And then my daughter said, why, Mama? I don't even have internet. And I said, well, because exactly of that reason. Because we need to realize how grateful we can be for things that we think are standard now. But it's actually not standard. We are living a luxury life. I said, look, we have running water. We have hot running water. We can cook. We have a fridge. We have a freezer. We have light at night. Yeah. It is warm when it's cold outside. We don't need to get any wood to put it into the fireplace. We just push a button. Oh, it's warm and nice.
Right.
We don't have to heat up water when I want to take a hot shower. I just push a button.
Right.
And the water comes down. I said, everybody is always complaining. Everybody wants always more. And this is fine because this is our spirit. We always want expansion. Our spirit wants to expand, right? We want to bring ourselves to a higher self. But we have to realize that we can actually be grateful for what we have, because we are living a luxury life, even so it does not appear for you that you're living a luxury life.
Right.
We
didn't realize it. I don't think when the pandemic hit, we didn't realize how, we took for granted just the fact that anytime we want to go somewhere, we could just walk outside. And here it was, they were like, you have to stay in your house. And we were all like, what? We can't go anywhere. We can't do anything. We have limits. We don't realize how limitless things were for us until somebody took it away.
How free, exactly.
Yeah.
We're free people, can do whatever we want to do.
Yeah. I think we take a lot for granted.
Yeah, and yet here we are complaining all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad.
And
the same thing it is with the money. People, when they don't have a lot, and this is what I see, I don't want to judge anybody or offend anybody, but what I see is that when people don't have a lot, they complain, and this is why they don't make more. Because if you have $10, why are you not grateful for having those $10, being able to go to the grocery store to buy you some bread and some sausage or meat or whatever you want to buy, or cheese, and then while you're paying, being grateful for the money that you have. Because only when you are having a good relationship with money, this is when you get more money back. When you always say, well, I only have those $10 and I wish I had more, listen to your words, listen to the underlying message that you actually give out. I want more money. I need more money. What is it actually that you're saying? That there's a lack of money. Right. And the universe will always respond to you with a yes. Yes, here you have more of it. Yes, here is more of it. So when you're saying, I'm always broke, what does the universe tell you? Yes, here's more of it. You're more broke. Right. So if you have $10 and that's the only thing you have, and you go and buy something, you buy food or whatever you want to buy, and you pay with those $10, why are you not grateful, saying, I'm so happy and grateful for my $10 that buy me the food so I can eat today? Yeah. And that feeling sends out the vibration of gratefulness. So your relationship to money is a good relationship. So what is the message that you give out? I'm grateful for my $10. What does the universe respond? Yes, you get more of it, more of the $10. So you can get more, you can be more grateful for it. Yeah. Do you see? Yes, it makes sense. It makes sense. I love that. I love, your definition of success and talking about that as a movement, and that it is the realization, you said, of a worthy goal. And goals are different for everybody. Yes. So I love that. It's not that it's saying that this is going to be the standard of success right here. It is different for every person. And that's important, I think, in this conversation that we're having, that people realize that, success is personal. It's your personal success. It's not what somebody says it is, because sometimes it looks unattainable when we start saying that this is what's considered success for this particular person, or in order to be considered a successful person, you've got to have X, Y, and Z. I love that you say that it's the progressive realization of a worthy goal, a goal that you set, not that somebody has set for you. Exactly. So there's freedom in that. It is. And I say worthy goal because there's different types of goals, right? So let me tell you, if you're driving a Ford Fiesta, for example, and your goal is that you want to have another Ford Fiesta. And then I'm like, well, you already bought yourself a Ford Fiesta, right?
Right.
So why do you want to set the same goal? This is not a worthy goal. You already know how to do that.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So you should go higher, because goals are not here to give you any materialistic thing. Goals are here to make you stretch, to make you grow.
Yeah.
So what do you want to do? You want to go for something that's bigger, right? Maybe you want to have what is bigger than the Ford? GMC, I believe, right? Let's say a GMC truck, GMC Sierra.
Okay.
My husband drives one of those. This is why I know it. So, if I drive a Ford Fiesta right now, then I want to go higher. Why? Because it means that I need to stretch.
Yes.
You know?
Take yourself out of
But
that comfort.
Exactly. You need to step out of your comfort zone. You need to be willing to get comfortable with the uncomfortable in order to stretch.
I like that. I like that. I'm writing that down because I think that's always good. You know, I always have a pen and paper because I always think it's important to, you know, as we, like you said, if you're in that mindset of growth, when you hear things or you know, experience certain things, you want to be able to document those things that way, you know, you can go back and you know, like you said, stretch beyond your limits. And you know, I think so often we just get so comfortable with where we are and complacent with where we are that, you know, because again, we don't want those growing pains, but that's what makes us, you know,
because it feels good, you know. And here's the thing, Kim, we put ourselves in a box. So think about you are boxed in, right? This is your comfort zone. And now you need to stretch.
Yeah.
So stretching means getting uncomfortable. And then all of a sudden, you need to do something that you have never done before because you need to stretch. You don't know how to do it. So you need to do things differently now, right? And then whenever you want to do things differently, your fear kicks in, your self-doubt kicks in. Can I even do this? Is this the right decision for me? I'm not sure, you know. Or people want to get clients online and I tell them, well, you need to get on camera. You need to talk to them so they know that you even exist. Well, I'm getting so uncomfortable in front of the camera. But why? Because you need to do something that you've never done before. And we are so used to doing things a certain way, right?
Yes.
We are having our daily routines. And then when they come and start the coaching with me, and I'll say, okay, the first thing we need to do is we need to establish a new morning routine. Why? And I said, because you want to start your day intentional, not you don't want to react, you want to respond to things, you want to be intentional, right? And they're like, but I have my morning routine. And I said, okay, let's take a look. What do you do when you wake up? You take your phone, you check your social media, you check your emails, you check the news, you go and get dressed, you make yourself coffee, you go to the same grocery store, you buy the same things in the grocery store, you go to the same restaurants, you watch the same TV shows at night. And they look at me and I said, am I right? Yeah. I said, because we are humans. We like to have a routine. And even so, we are not consciously establishing a routine. Every single one of us does those things. And then when I say it, they're like, oh yeah, she's right. So what do you want to do? Right? You want to get up in the morning and you do not want to grab your phone. You want to leave your phone alone. The first thing you want to do in the morning is think about your goal. And then think about how it makes you feel, because those feelings bring you into the right vibration. Feelings are that put your body into the right frequency. So once you're feeling good, then you will start your day completely different. And then think about, how do I want to be today? Well, I want to be intentional. I want to be loving. I want to be loving myself, not complaining that I have maybe 20 pounds too much, you know. Look at you. You have 2 feet. They're functioning completely, perfectly fine. You have 2 arms. You can hug your kids. You can hug your loved ones. You can kiss your husband, you know. Everything is functioning. So why are you complaining that you have 20 pounds too much? No?
Yeah.
And this is what we have to do. We really need to leave the phone alone, because when you're scrolling through the news or you scroll through social media and then you read something that's bad, I don't know, that there's a war zone and the bomb went down and it killed 100,000 people, and you're like, oh my goodness. And within seconds, you're in a bad mood.
Right.
Within seconds, you're in a bad vibration. So you
And
don't
you
want to
carry
do
it with
this.
you. Right.
You know? And when you start your day intentional and you think about your goal and you're like, yes, and I'm so excited that I'm getting there and I'm on my way and this is how my life is going to look like. Maybe you want a new house, maybe you want a new car. And then you wake up and you think about how it would feel driving your new car, or how it would feel waking up in your new house, you know?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you have all those warm feelings and you love it and you're just happy, you know? And then somebody comes along and he tells you, oh, but have you gained weight? You know what you say then? You don't even care because you're so happy. Like,
Right.
well, maybe he thinks I gained weight, but I don't really care because I know I'm going to live in my house soon.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And this is what we want to do. We want to really, and this is what I help my clients with, creating a morning routine, creating an evening routine. And then I tell them, really look at your beliefs, where they really come from. Where do those beliefs come from? How did you grow up with? What did your parents teach you around money? Right? Because they want to multiply their income and they don't know why they're stuck. And then I said, okay, so how did you grow up with? What did your parents teach you? My mom, she was very, how can you say that? Very, closed.
Mm-hmm.
She had a bad relationship with money, right?
Gotcha.
So if you want to make it, you need to work really hard. Money doesn't grow on trees. Classic.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Everybody in that decade, or in that born in that time. Yeah. That's what they were taught.
Yeah. And all those beliefs around money that are so negative. And I'm like, where does this actually come from? Where does it come from? And what you want to do is really dig deep and look, okay, first of all, what beliefs do I have around money? What relationship do I have with money? Do I have a good relationship? Do I love money? Does money love me? Or is money something that is scary? Oh man, now I have to pay another bill. I don't really want to pay it because then my bank account goes down, you know? Then what belief is it that you hold?
Right.
And then go back and like, where does this belief actually come from? Why did I internalize this belief?
Right.
And then when you find out where the belief comes from, what you want to do then is creating a new belief. And then you're like, oh, I am a money magnet. Money loves me and I love money. Right. When you want to have more clients, right? I am a client magnet. Clients flow to me easily and effortlessly. Clients love me and I love my clients because I help them. I see them succeed, which makes them happy and it makes me happy.
Right.
You know, this is what you want to do. You want to really go away from always thinking like bad about something.
Right.
Tweak your perception a little teeny tiny bit.
Yeah.
And you'll see the big improvement that really comes from it.
Yeah, I mean, these are wonderful, wonderful steps and a wonderful blueprint for that success and for creating, goals and changing mindsets and creating those paradigm shifts that are going to take you where you need to go. So I know we can talk about this for hours and hours, but I wanna give our listeners an opportunity to know how they can get in contact with you, and also to talk about some things that you have upcoming that may benefit them. But before I do that, I do want to say I love that we talk about stretching, and when you were talking about that, it made me think about even exercise. When our bones are stiff and we're feeling stiff and brittle, how much better do we feel when we stretch? When we take the time to elongate our muscles and to really begin to create a greater range of motion. It's the same thing with our in our lives.
Yeah.
How are we stretching to create even a little bit more comfort for those things that are getting stiff and stagnant in our lives? So, I love that. I love that idea of stretching beyond where we are. So, like I said, we want to give people an opportunity to connect with you and to find out what's going on. So tell us what's going on and what you have coming down the pipe.
The most recent project that I have is an upcoming event. We have it on March 20th to the 22nd. It is called Attract, and it's all about female entrepreneurs and how they can multiply their income with powerful mindset techniques that I use for myself and that I teach.
Okay. All right. And so now, probably when it airs, it'll be beyond that time. So how else can they, is there a way that they can catch the replay? Is it something that's going to be virtual or is it going to be in person?
What I can offer your, how do you say?
My listeners, yes, my listenership,
Sorry, sometimes I am stuck with English. They can catch the replays. I will make sure that they can get access to the whole masterclass, to the series. It's going to be those 3 days, and they can watch every single day. And we will talk about your power within on the first day. Yes. On the second day, we will talk about the success metrics, and on the third day, we will talk about optimizing opportunities, how you really can create that permanent change for yourself.
Gotcha. So we'll make sure that in the announcement for the show that we talk about how they can connect and catch the replay, and then also find out about things that are going on or that'll be going on later in the year. So how can people get in contact with you? Do you have a website?
I have a website. It's villegascoaching.com. I have social media profiles. I'm on Facebook under Miriam Villegas, under Villegas Coaching with my business. And I also am on Instagram under Miriam Villegas 777.
Okay, and that's on, you said that was on Instagram?
That was on Instagram. And they can also find me on LinkedIn, and I will give you all the handles so you can drop the handles in your description.
Absolutely. And that way people will be able to get in contact with you and find out what you're doing and find a little bit more about your services. So first and foremost, I want to thank you, for coming on and for sharing those blueprints for success, and for giving us a different perspective and a different definition of what success looks like, because that's something that's definitely attainable. And to talk about stretching and going beyond where we are to achieve those goals that we're looking to achieve. So we're going to do two things. The first thing I'm going to ask you is, how are you living in this now? What are you doing to navigate in this now, in this space that we're in?
I am grateful for everything I have, Kim. I am grateful for my clients that I have. I am grateful for the food that I have every day. I'm grateful for power, which we just talked about, because power is really a big thing here, at least where we live, right? I don't even have gas. And I'm just so grateful to be me. I'm grateful for my mind, because this is what gives me the ability to stretch. And I'm grateful for that information, that I can just be a creator and create a life I want.
I love that. That's a wonderful way to be. So are there any parting words that you want to leave with our listeners before we head out?
The only limit is the limit that you set to yourself. There's no limit.
There's no limit. Okay, you heard it here. And again, Miriam, thank you so much for joining us. Know that you are now part of the How Now family, and you're always welcome back, because what's happening right now may not be what's happening 2 hours, 2 minutes, 2 weeks, 2 years from now. So you're always welcome to come back and talk about things that you have going on in your now. So know that you are part of the How Now family, and you're always welcome back. Okay.
Thank you so much, Kim. Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure to be on your show.
And I look forward
to get on the next one.
That's right. All right. Okay. And that will do it for this edition of the How Now podcast, where we talk about how to live in the now. And until we see you the next time, I say peace.